Hello and welcome to St Luke's Church in Cheltenham. My name's Patrick and I'm the vicar here at St Luke's. Most of you are probably aware, particularly if you're watching this, that the government announced a while ago that church buildings were free to open and that Christians and anybody who wanted to could come and meet together and worship. And we're really excited here at St Luke's that that is possible. We think that actually gathering together as Christians to worship our God is an essential service, and actually we recognise that it's been a time of real difficulty where you and others haven't been able to meet and to worship and to encourage each other when you do so. We think that meeting together is a great chance to be able to model to our whole world, which is filled with a sense of fear and anxiety and worry, that actually in the Christian message of Jesus Christ there is good news and there is hope and there is peace and there is truth for us to base our lives upon. But at the same time, whilst we are free and open for worship from this Sunday, the 5th of July, we want you and anybody else to know that as we gather, we will do that with common sense and also observing right precautions at this time. As Christians, we worship the God who made the heavens and the earth, and he holds things together in an ordered manner. And so we want to demonstrate to the world that Christians are able to do their worship in a similarly ordered and sensible way. We also know that we have a God who gave himself as a sacrifice for our sins. And so in following his example, we know that we will need to make sacrifices in the way that we are used to worshipping. So in the course of the next few minutes, I just wanted to show you how we will worship together on a Sunday morning and on a Wednesday morning here at St Luke's. So before you come, you will have a clear idea how everything will work. Firstly, when you arrive at the church, you'll come in through this, our south door. I'll turn around in a moment so I'm not in a shadow. This is our entranceway. It's got a pathway on a slight slope, so if you're coming either in a wheelchair or with mobility issues, this will be your entrance and also your exit. But for everybody else, this will be your entrance only, and you'll leave by a separate and different door. Once you come in, as most of you will be familiar with, as you enter into any shop or otherwise, we're going to ask you to sanitize your hands. There will be an electronic sanitizer behind me that you can see, and we'll have a second table where if you're joining and coming at the same time as somebody else, you'll also be able to make sure your hands are clean. Once you've come into the building, we'll have welcomers here, and they will invite you to take your seat in the main body of the church. We're really fortunate here at St Luke's that actually with our existing pews, we can space people out in a suitably socially distanced way, so that you can hold to those general distancing guidelines. You'll see that as a general rule, there are stickers placed within the pews. Our welcomers will point you and guide you to a particular pew, and for those of you who are worried about where you might sit, we'll ask our welcomers actually to guide you to a particular seat. And if you come on your own, then you'll see that if you sit by a yellow sticker, if we have two seats at either end of one pew, and then one person sat in the middle in the pew in front and behind, then we can ensure that people keep a suitable distance. And we'll ask folks to remain in their seats for the course of the service. And when we do leave, there'll be a one-way system where, having come in the south door, we'll come down the main aisle and then head out round the side aisle and leaving by a different door that I'll point you to in a moment when we get there. Here, by way of example, you can see behind me, there's Terry and Sarah. They've arrived in church, and because they've both come on their own, they have ensured that they have kept a suitable distance, one on the end of a pew and one sat in the middle. Now, it might be, of course, that you don't come on your own, but actually you come in your social or family bubble. It might be that you come with yourself, with your wife or your husband, with a number of children, or even with your extended social bubble, in which case we can see that we've slightly rearranged. And there's Terry. He's come with the kids, and so he's able to sit in a pew with his whole social bubble. And then you can see that Sarah's made the sensible decision that because a number of people are sat in that pew, she has left the pew behind them free, and she has sat to keep a distance in the pew behind that. And that's what we're going to ask people to do. If a pew is filled with more than 2 people, then actually leave the pew in front or behind them. We reckon under those measures and guidance, the capacity of our building probably approaches about 70 or just over, and we'll keep an eye on that during the course of a Sunday service. When it comes to worship itself, we won't be using any service sheets. All of the words that you'll require for the service will appear on the big screens at the front of the church. When we're taking communion at our services, we'll invite people to come up sort of singly or maybe just in 2s or 3s so that they can keep themselves spread out at the altar rail, and the priest will administer the sacrament to them individually, making sure that he or she has sanitized her hands, his or her hands, before touching any of the sacraments. You'll probably be aware that there won't be any singing initially when we gather, but there will be times of Bible reading and of teaching and an opportunity to pray together. I'm going to head around here and you'll see this is the way that our one-way system flows as you come down the front of the church and then heading up the side aisle to exit by the back door. I want to tell you, though, that as we gather together, one of the changes that we've made here at St Luke's is that we are operating 4 services every week. There'll be 3 on a Sunday. There'll be an early morning service at 8 o'clock, which will be a communion service. Our regular 10 o'clock service will be a service of morning worship. And then in the afternoon, there'll be a 4 o'clock service, an informal service held down in the church hall. And then in addition, a Wednesday morning, 11 o'clock communion service. The reason we've done that is because we want to give ample opportunity for people in all sorts of different circumstances still to come and worship. So maybe if you are in one of those vulnerable categories, particularly if you are over 70 or you have an underlying health condition, we'd really encourage you to think about coming to either the 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning or the 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, which we expect to be slightly lower in attendance numbers. In addition, if you're thinking of coming to church with children, you are of course welcome to attend any of our services. However, the style of service that we're putting on at 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon in the church hall is probably particularly suited for those that come with children. At the end of a service, there will be a chance to make a collection, a donation towards God's work within the local area. There will be a collection bowl at the back of the church, and we ask you to place any collection in that. That will then be left for 72 hours in the safe, and it won't be counted or touched until that time period has ended. Unfortunately, we're not able at this time to offer you a cup of tea or coffee and a biscuit after the service. We're not able to offer refreshments. But when the service is finished, we will ask you to exit the building by the door that's behind me. And it might be that you want to catch up with friends that you haven't seen for a long time, or maybe say hello to a new face. And we totally understand that. But we ask that you don't do that in the church building. But I'm sure the weather will be great on Sunday morning or on Wednesday mornings, and you'll be able to have those conversations out in the open air, in the car park or on the church grounds, where you'll be able to keep your distance, and we know that outside is a slightly safer space. I hope that helps you with any questions you might have. If you are definitely thinking of coming on a Sunday afternoon, then you probably want to skip on to the next video where you're going to join me down at the church hall, and I'm going to explain how everything will work down there. Until then, I really look forward to welcoming you in person at St Luke's, and I hope to see you very soon. God bless and goodbye.